Thank you, Todd. I'm reporting live from Gameside here and speaking with Tony, who just put out a hellacious performance today. What can you say about the run you just had? Well, I gotta say it was a tough run, tough game. Was really worried about I wasn't gonna make it out there. I fought a real hard late quarter to make it back, but sadly it just wasn't in the cards. You came back from quite the deficit. What was going through your head as you were fighting back from being so behind? Well, you know, it was sometimes the heat of the game, it just pushes you through the moment. Sometimes you need to just try and give it all your best. I know I didn't get it this week, but I know the next time we meet, we're going to come out ahead. Thank you for your time, Tony. Stellar performance out here today. Thank you, Todd. Todd, back to you. What am I doing? What am I writing? That has nothing to do with the game I just played. How am I going to cut this? What am I doing with this video? Honestly, I think I'm losing my mind. Welcome back to another video here on Mummified Games. Today, we're going to be talking about the platform test your skills retro game, Love, by Fred Wood. Love is a platformer game that strikes the perfect balance of challenging while also not ramping up the difficulty too much. The challenge in the levels steadily go up, so that way you can feel like you're actually making progress. The game gives you a selection of pre-built levels that you can run through, trying to get through each one as cleanly as possible and not waste too many lives. The game's normal mode starts you off with 100 lives. You need to learn the levels, trying to make your way through the obstacles. What's great about this though is you have a respawn point that you can drop anywhere that's safe. So if you make it through one obstacle, you can drop a respawn point. That way, if you beef it on the next trick, then you can come back and start from that spot rather than back to the beginning of the level. I quickly found out that I would start placing them after every successful jump. Even if I had another 5 jumps to do, I would put a spawn point so that way I didn't need to redo the last 3 jumps. A great expression for life, really. Even if you have a long way to go ahead of you and more challenges, it's good to stop for a sec and think about what you've been through and how we are all pushing forward, conquering previous challenges and facing the next one. This game has a retro art style, only 3 colors each level. Black, white, and then a single color that changes each level. The art for the preloaded levels in this game is actually really cool. The first few levels all have this cool blocky style that, now that I think of it, sort of reminds me of the first Metroid. How they use the absence of color in the black background to add a shade or texture to some of the levels. And the character you play as is funny too. They run with their arms behind them, sort of doing an anime run, but standing straight up. Then when you die, sometimes there's a little angel that pops up and floats above the character. It's a silly little thing. The platforming in this game is great. Right at the start of the game, it says, hey, here's the control, but in the first level, it gives you the things you might run into one at a time. Great level design. Starting you off on a long, no-threat platform that you can walk around, then giving you a step that you'll need to jump up to. This part helps you learn how the character jumps and the speed and how they move. Then, right after that, there is a pit that you have to sort of make your way down, giving you a clear view of where you need to make it to. And if you weren't savvy enough to know that pits are bad, you can fall and see that your lives have gone down by 1, making your way eventually to the first set of white platforms. At this point, you would know to avoid falling, and the only way to make it across is to jump on these white platforms. Surprise, they're bouncy pads. I love how games give you one thing at a time, not rushing 1,000 things down right away. This game is simple enough that this is all you need for a tutorial level, and it doesn't even take up that much time. It doesn't feel like you're not playing the game either, or that the story needs to be put on hold. I guess that's the gift that making such a simple game lends to you. Not having to worry about overly complicated controls, helping making the learning process simple. No Google searching for what something means. It's only buttons for move, jump, set respawn, and restart at spawn. Oh, I never talked about that last button. So there's this thing in the game where if you ever fall back and your spawn might be further ahead of you, or whatever the case might be, then you can spend a life, bug out right there where you are, and go back to the spawn point. There was rarely a time where I needed to do this outside of the first level of the game, because there's only one trick that might put you back at the beginning of the level. But at this point, the level is so easy, I might as well save the life and try to make it back to the spot I missed anyway. The normal mode isn't a timed thing, so I'm losing nothing. There are also some other modes. There is the standard arcade mode that I've been talking about that gives you 100 lives. There's also the unlimited mode, where the game lets you play as long as you want with unlimited lives, taking some of the challenge away, but letting you actually get to the end. and that's nice. A YOLO mode, obviously only giving you one life to live, hence the you only live once name. Speedrun is a mode to see how fast you can beat the game. I'm sure there are some wild times out there, and I don't even want to start thinking about what some people are doing out there with this game. Remix. This mode is a short list of shorter levels that you can make your way through. They're different from other levels that are in the main arcade mode, and they offer more condensed, quicker maps. And lastly are the Kuso levels. These are levels that come from Love 2 Kuso. And then the game also has a feature where you're able to create your own levels out of images. I never tried it, I only stuck with the regular levels that came with the game. Love is available on a wide selection of devices. Windows, Linux, Android, and also the Ouya? Hey, if I was a developer, I would want my game on everything and anything. So I guess, sure, put it there. Next thing I would work on is making it available on Google Stadia, and then Facebook Games. Maybe retro hardware such as old cell phones with physical buttons. This honestly could be the next Can It Run Doom. The music in this game is great. I'm thinking of leaving the original audio from this game in this review instead of the jazzy number I always use. There isn't much more love I can give to Love, and honestly there isn't much to complain about. I keep my expectations low for a lot of these games. I don't really expect to be taken to another world and whooshed away on fanciful tales. Any complaints I could say about this game would just take away from the simple style and design. One could make a comparison to the Super Meat Boy game. I don't think I would want a story-driven reason why this little person is running through these levels. I don't think I would want cutscenes or text to have to stop and read. That's all fluff and it isn't needed here. This is like swinging through a Taco Bell on a road trip. You have a goal and a destination where you're trying to get to. I wouldn't want to stop and sit down to eat somewhere. Actually, I did that one time. I was in a group years ago, and we were traveling with new people, and we were headed out to the Sangria de Cristo Mountains in New Mexico. And on the way there, the new people we were with wanted to stop at Cracker Barrel, and everyone else had the feeling of, why don't we just pick something up with a drive-thru? But no, they insisted it. It was super weird and not what I'm used to. I enjoy the ride, I enjoy the trip to wherever I'm going. But I don't want to stop everything, our progression, the music, the changing scenery, to just sit and get a meal. I might understand at a standing place where one could stand at a bar or a counter and eat your food. Maybe to stretch your legs and get some blood flowing. Anyway, what was I talking about? Oh, right. So I wouldn't want to overload this simple, easy game with a bunch of random extra stuff that doesn't add to the gameplay. For $3 on itch, it's a good game. And if you can get it on sale or part of a bundle, even better. For folks who played this game, what were your thoughts? Was there a level that you got stuck on? What was your favorite level? For those of you who haven't played this game, I actually like games like this. Platformers have always been fun to me. Are there other platform games in the Racial Justice Bundle that you think I should check out? Or is there another game out there that you really want me to play? Let me know in the comments. In the meantime, I'm gonna go throw myself off a cliff and into a nice, big, tasty sandwich. You all do the YouTube dance. Like, sub, bell, share, and let me know what you think. And as always, friends, keep digging. We'll make it out sometime. See you in the next one.